Switch 2 has been out for a year now, and even though it's been a pretty good console with some great games, I just can't help but miss my 3DS. Yes, I know it's quite inferior to the Switch 2 in many ways, but I've always had a fondness for the little device. Ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed and appreciated handheld consoles. I'm not sure why I found them so appealing my whole life, but I think I enjoyed just being able to take my games everywhere with me. When the original Switch was announced, I was extremely ecstatic and extremely excited, because I had dreamed of being able to take games like Super Mario Sunshine to the beach, or Super Mario Galaxy, taking it on a flight and flying through space while also flying through the air. The merger of the handheld and home console divisions at Nintendo brought that dream to light. It's what I always wanted as a kid. Despite the convenience that the Switch and Switch 2 bring, I feel like the glamour of it all has started to wear on me. These systems are big, and I mean big. The screens have to be a good size because a lot of the games are designed for a TV, and so they have to be, a good size in order to actually be able to see on the handheld device. And with game consoles getting more and more powerful, these handhelds are just starting to get bulkier and heavier and bigger. And it's getting to the point where I almost just don't like taking them places. It's not as easy as it was compared to handhelds of old. And don't get me started on battery life. When the original Switch came out, it was criticized for only having 3 hours of battery life running games like Breath of the Wild or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. My experience with the Switch 2 has been worse. I can barely squeeze out 2 hours with Kirby Air Riders or Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Not to mention, the hardware itself for both the Switch and Switch 2 doesn't seem nearly as durable compared to the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance when they came out. I've heard so many stories about Switch and Switch 2 systems having problems at this point, and that didn't used to be the case. Keeping all this in mind has made me really nostalgic for the 3DS. Ever since I got my hands on that thing, I was mesmerized by the glasses-free 3D. And yes, I was one of those people who like the 3D, and I still use it. I do what I want. The glasses-free 3D really immersed me into game worlds in ways that other consoles just couldn't. The graphics I definitely compared to the likes of the GameCube and the Wii. Although, looking at it now, they're not nearly that level, but that's fine. I still remember the day I got my 3DS and I turned up that 3D slider all the way and just being mesmerized by it. I was addicted to that device, and I spent hundreds of hours wandering around the world of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which was my first Zelda game. It's an experience unlike any other, and to this day, it's something that has yet to be topped for me. There was something particularly special about these handhelds. You were able to easily slip them into your pocket and take them wherever you wanted. They were truly portable compared to the likes of the Switch or Switch 2. And while they did have decent power, they were still light and extremely comfortable to hold. To this day, I feel like I can hold my 3DS for hours, whereas my Switch 2, I feel like I have to use an armrest. In 2015, I upgraded to the new Nintendo 3DS XL model, and that changed everything for me. I had never owned a DSi XL or an original 3DS XL. Those big screens drew me into the system more than the original model did. And it was nice, especially with the added amiibo support. To this day, I still use that console. I like that the handheld is large enough where you can see your games clearly, but at the same time, it's not too big where it's just uncomfortable to hold. It's something that I miss whenever I hold my Switch 2. With the 3DS in particular, Nintendo tried a bunch of crazy things as well. First of all, they had amazing features like Street Pass, which added more interactivity to games that had never been seen before. I mean, in Mario Kart 7, you could exchange time trial ghosts, or in A Link Between Worlds, you could fight another player's avatar. It was pretty cool. The 3DS also had 2 outward-facing cameras. This was to be able to capture the 2 perspectives so that you could get a 3D image. And each system came with a set of AR cards right out of the box, which was awesome, because you basically got free games and you could mess around with apps. These are just a couple of examples, but I do miss this experimental side to Nintendo. They weren't afraid to try new things, and it led to some really creative systems and games. I've seen this sentiment online, but Nintendo just plays it too safe lately. Everything seems so corporate now and predictable, and the magic of old Nintendo just has kind of vanished with it. They become so predictable that I feel like it's taken away some of the surprise elements from the games and hardware. I mean, with the Switch 2, yeah, it was nice to have a more powerful Switch 2, but at the same time, it's like, okay, what else can we do with it? It didn't help that the mouse controls were leaked ahead of time and there was a bunch of leaks, so there's that. But they become so predictable, it seems inevitable that a Switch 2 Lite's gonna come out sometime in the future, especially with the economy the way it is. I know I've been extensively gushing about the 3DS, but that isn't to say that there weren't any problems with it. At the beginning of the console's launch, sales were really low, and it ended up having to get a massive price cut. Thankfully, it was the right move and it helped save the system. The 3DS is also home to a ton of 2D platformers. Games like New Super Mario Bros. 2, Chibi Robo Ziplash, Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, some of the Kirby games, it all felt like they blended together. There was definitely too much 2D platformers, and it didn't help that the Wii U was getting a bunch of those too. The 3DS was capable of 3D games, but it seemed like Nintendo shied away from that a little bit. As a teenager, I still remember hearing people online complaining about yet another 2D platformer from Nintendo, which was a common sentiment at the time, but now it doesn't bother me nearly as much. Something that helped me personally with this system is that I was starting to broaden my horizons in terms of what I played. I had really only played Super Mario games or Sonic the Hedgehog games before the 3DS. I bought the system in August, a day after my birthday, shortly after the price cut. But at this time, there wasn't any Mario games. This forced me to branch out a bit, and I ended up getting Ocarina of Time 3D, which immersed me into the world of Zelda for the first time. I remember as soon as I stepped on the Hyrule Field with the 3D slider all the way up, just being immersed in this massive world that just felt grand on the scale of the 3DS. It was absolutely magical. Throughout this generation, I started to branch out a lot more after Ocarina of Time 3D. Later that year in 2011, I did get into series like Kirby, thanks to Club Nintendo and the free virtual console games they used to offer on there. And later I got into Fire Emblem. I was slowly becoming more and more willing to try new things and expand my horizons. By the end of the console's life, I had accumulated a wide variety of different games in different genres, of series I had never even played before, and fell in love with so many. While Fire Emblem Fates definitely isn't my favorite Fire Emblem game anymore, I appreciate it for getting me into the series, and now it's become my favorite series of all time. It was things like this that made the 3DS just so special to me. There have been similar moments with the Switch, I'll give it that. Metroid Dread really brought me into Metroid and got me hooked, but I just don't feel like they're as impactful as the 3DS was for me. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I can't help feeling a sense of joy when I think about my time with the 3DS. There are two more things that the 3DS did right compared to the Switch and Switch 2. It had better menus, and it had a better eShop. The menu of the 3DS itself was just so fun to play around with. I remember as a kid watching all the icons on the top screen and then trying to reach for it. When they added home menu themes, that totally changed the way you could customize your system to personally express yourself. Plus, the menu even had real folders, not the crappy Switch 2 folders. The personality of the thing was carried into the eShop itself. The song that played for the first eShop theme on the 3DS is one that gives me so much nostalgia. It makes me happy and sad at the same time. I can't tell you how many hours I spent on the eShop just browsing and browsing, looking at games that I knew I would never have enough money to buy them all. I loved booting up the system to see which virtual console games came out that week, or just seeing what else they dropped on there. While it is nice being able to try these games out without having to outright buy them on the Switch and Switch 2, I miss being able to actually purchase these games. And they were for very affordable prices too. I was disappointed that Nintendo never re-released Game Boy Advance games for the 3DS, but that's something the modding community has taken care of. I know I just dissed the Switch and Switch 2 a lot, but these consoles have done many things right, despite my nostalgia for the 3DS. Many series were revived or brought to a home console for the first time, and the Switch has been so appealing that it's brought in a wide audience. It's Nintendo's best-selling console of all time. And a whole new generation of players have been able to experience Mario, Zelda, Fire Emblem, and it's really cool to see. Sure, we may have lost a lot of personality since the Wii U and 3DS days, but at the same time, I do feel like we're in a good spot. I can't help though and look back on the 3DS and just think about how nice it was to have it. It had so much personality to it, and its gimmick, it was just so Nintendo. And to this day, I break it out just to play some of those old games. Maybe not old, but classic for sure. It's a great system that has left a great legacy. It may be the last dedicated handheld console Nintendo ever made, but it was one created with love and passion. I will always remember the good times with my 3DS, even for years to come. It was a truly special system, and I cherish the memories I have with it. Whew, that was a lot. In all honesty, I did not expect the script to get so long. You didn't have to listen to me rant about the 3DS, but you did, and I appreciate it. If you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves.